Lyons, Hebrew Pronunciation, or the Hebrew and English Spelling Book, and this book gives a complete pronunciation scheme for the Spanish and Portuguese pronunciation of Hebrew, and we'll be going through it. Hebrew and English Spelling Book, adapted for the use of schools and private tuition, that's you, being an easy and concise mode of acquiring an attainment of that most sacred language, to which is affixed an abridgment of the Hebrew grammar by I. L. Lyons, London, printed by and for H. Abrahams, Well Close Square, Effingham, Wilson, Royal Exchange, 1837, and the price was 3 shillings. This production is designed to furnish young persons, and even adults, with an easy mode of obtaining a knowledge of spelling and reading the Hebrew language, adapted to the sounds of the Spanish, Portuguese, German and Polish Jews. Although many grammars have been published, there has never yet appeared any simplified initiatory book for young persons to enable them to acquire with facility the knowledge of this sacred language. This work the author now presents to the public, great care and attention having been paid to the classification. The words are arranged alphabetical, and their number of syllables in separate divisions according to their respective accentuation, which will be found to be a material improvement. To relieve the difficulties and to ameliorate the obstructions of the pupil, as well as to form an additional help to obtain the proper pronunciation, the sounds are put in columns and are carefully distinguished by an easy and compendious method. The plan itself is so extremely simple that it will probably be esteemed a recommendation. The authorities which have here been followed with regard to orthography, accentuation, etc., are selected from the most approved authors. To the spelling and reading lessons are added fables, scriptural phrases and dialogues, necessary for the learner to be acquainted with, to which will be appended a brief but compendious Hebrew grammar with questions and answers. Incidentally, this is one of the very earliest books for Hebrew conversation, so it's of historical interest for those interested in the renaissance of modern Hebrew. On the whole, it has been the author's ardent endeavor to render this Hebrew and English spelling book as useful as the prescribed limits of the undertaking would permit, and trusts it will prove acceptable to the teacher as well as to the pupil, for whom it is peculiarly intended. The author pretends not to boast of new discoveries, but flatters himself to have selected everything that is necessary and useful. He need not point out the great utility of such a work, as it is sufficiently evident to those who are employed in the care of instructing youth, whether in schools or by private tuition. He hopes the gentlemen of the profession will do him the justice to believe that his design in this performance was not to dictate, but to ease the master, as well as to facilitate the pupil in his laudable endeavours to acquire a thorough knowledge of this holy language.